Good morning, I'm Marcel Strbich, I'm from Washington Township, and this is my first time coming before the board. In May, however, I did seek and met with our director, Jeff Rezabek, in this office to discuss election legislation. To his credit, he was generous with his time, but up front, my impression was he was not interested in discussing the substance necessarily of what I came to present, which included over 41,000 potential voter records that were demonstrating questionable accuracy or validity on Montgomery's voter rolls. Director Rezabek was most interested in process, and he made it clear to me without the discussion even opening that he would dismiss investigating this record request after analyzing a very small subset of data. Any further attempts to discuss aspects of voter record discrepancies seemed out of reach to me. At the end of the meeting, I concluded that the director did not share my good faith intentions to establish common ground voter record accuracy issues on the legislation. The next month, the SOS issued Directive 2024-11 Voter Registration Integrity Project, which tasked the County Board of Elections by August 1st via the digital dashboard to correct the very same flagged records presented to Director Rezabek by myself the month prior. On August 8th, following completion of a report card on the performance of that task, which I brought you today, Montgomery County BOE was revealed as only one of 3 counties statewide that failed to meet the Secretary of State's record accuracy correction standard. Not only did Montgomery County not meet the compliance threshold, the number of improper name character errors rose from 245 to 289. To make sure that I did not incorrectly assume that Montgomery County Board of Elections lacked data access to correct record errors, I contacted the Secretary of State, who referred me to Josh Jaffe, the Data Division Director. Mr. Jaffe confirmed that each County Board of Elections can see flagged duplicate records and does bear responsibility for investigating and reconciling those records. This prompted me to research the allowable Secretary of State threshold for duplicate records, which is found in section 4.14 of the Election Official Manual. And it states that the monthly rolling total of duplicate records must not exceed 0.030%. Furthermore, the acceptable threshold of duplicate registrations per the Secretary of State Manual states that all duplicate registrations are expected by the SOS to resolve to zero 14 days prior to the election. On October 26, 2024, the same data team pulled the Secretary of State data to show that the Montgomery County Board of Elections transferred 1,290 potential duplicate registrations or 635 pairs of voter definition files into the election precinct lists. This means, as a county, we transferred the risk and possibility that any number of the 635 pairs could double vote in our county. Worse, the possibility that any county board of elections will detect any of those thousands of potential duplicate registrations statewide is unlikely, because each voter record is assigned a unique ID number. The bottom line is, none of the compliance issues I highlighted with the Secretary of State directives or the Election Official Manual violations should be happening. Respectfully, I request that the board take an interest in this matter to determine a proper cause and enact the necessary changes and remedies. To aid your efforts, I am providing you a copy of the August report I mentioned in the late October duplicate registrations forward to each member. And I hope to join you at your next meeting and learn how the board intends to address duplicate registrations and data entry voter records, along with any barriers that you may have in solving these matters. I thank you for your time and your accommodation this morning.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question? Hey, before you go.
Yes, sir.
Marcel, would you say that threshold was?
The monthly threshold for duplicate registrations is set in the Election Officials Manual at 0.030%.
Okay.
When I presented in May to Director Rezabek, the number that I brought for investigation was 1,900. Now, the board did improve on that number right before the election. It came down to, and it states in here, in 3 different categories, which I checked with Josh Jaffe of the Secretary of State, and he confirmed that algorithm that we used to do this work. And it's down to about 1,290. But with that said, 14 days prior to an election, 4.14 states that they must be 0.
Okay. Another question for you. Do you know of those? Now you said 1,000, what did you say?
1,290 potential, and I call them potential because these need to be investigated. Okay. It's possible people are twins, duplicates, twins, they live in the same residence. but there's going to be duplicates for bugs.
Okay, so do you have any record or anything that says any one of those 1,290 people voted
Well,
in Montgomery County?
We're in the process of, and I will provide that to the board. We're in the process of reviewing cast vote records. We have instances of that in other counties like Miami, but I didn't come to you today with that. But if that is an interest item to you, sir, and the board, I'm happy to bring that to you at your earliest convenience.
Well, if you're coming back, that'd be a cool thing to have, because, you know, if we have, and, you know, there's no question that our number one thing here is voter integrity. I appreciate you giving us this data, and according to your 635 number, we're about, rough off the head, I have it at 0.17. So you're saying that we're off by about 0.14 percentage points off of that. So it's certainly, it's something that's mandated by the Secretary of State. We're definitely going to check into it.
I appreciate
you coming in.
Yeah,
and
thank
doing
you.
that.
These are your copies here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have a copy for council also?
I did not, but
That's all right, we make one.
Oh, actually, Mr. Blaine isn't here, so board member Blaine, so if you wanted to
Okay.
pass that on.
Great.
Thank you.